What is Embarkation Day? There are basically three kinds of days on a cruise ship: Embarkation Day, Sea Days, and Port Days. The first day of the cruise is Embarkation Day, where the cruise ship is actually going to embark on its journey, right? But the crew also refer to it as turnaround day, okay? Because really, Embarkation Day, which is the first day of the cruise, of that cruise, is actually also the last day of the previous cruise. There's no overnight changeover between one cruise to the other. It's on the same day. So if you have a 7-day cruise, right, Sunday to Sunday, your last day of cruise A is going to end Sunday morning, and then cruise B, the cruise day 1 is going to start Sunday afternoon. So you can imagine, just from the sheer size of cruise ships, they turn it around in one day. They change over from one cruise to the next in one day. Absolutely, it's actually less than a day. It's like, I don't know, 6 hours, something ridiculous. And so for a lot of crew members, Embarkation Day or turnaround day is like a really big day, really stressful, a lot of work. You got to do really quick. For me, in broadcasting, it really wasn't that big of a deal. We didn't have to shoot a lot of video throughout the day, stuff like that. In the evening time, when the next crew sailed away, that's when kind of my work started. Think about it this way, at least in the sense of my job in broadcasting, and somehow in the sense of entertainment too. It's the very last day. It's the last morning when all the passengers are leaving. I'm not going to shoot video of passengers leaving for two reasons. One, those passengers aren't going to see the video after I've taken it and edited it and done something with it. They're leaving. They're not going to see it. And then the new passengers, they don't care about the old passengers. They don't want to see old passengers on TV. They want to see themselves on TV. So that at the very end of the cruise, I don't film it. I didn't ever film anything. Also, like on the very last night, on like Sea Day 6 or whatever, the last night before debarkation, the next morning, I didn't really have to film anything either, because by the time I edited that footage and put it on the TV, no one's going to see it, right? So most of the work I did, at least video-wise, was kind of in the beginning of the cruise, and toward the end, whatever. But think about this. Okay, Embarkation Day, before passengers get on board, which is like noon or sooner. You know what I mean? It's very, very swift. And not only are we racing against the clock to get the new passengers on the ship to start their cruise, not all the first cruise's passengers are getting off at the same time. They have specific times they can get off based on their cabin, based on the deck, just to make it make more sense. Especially when they get into the port and have to go through all that kind of stuff. So there's still people on board when everyone starts cleaning. It can seem kind of chaotic, right? There's still food that passengers are eating, in the buffet and stuff. Still drinking coffee. They could still, I think, have cocktails probably, right? They're just having to pay for it, before they finalize their account payments and stuff like that. So there's still food going. A lot of the work to turn over the cruise ship is going on in the cabins, changing the bed and doing laundry and washing sheets and making sure all the new things are stocked and ready to go in the cabins, cleaning and dusting and scrubbing and all these things. They're also, here's the thing though, they're also prepping for the beginning of the ship, or for the beginning of the next cruise. So they're bringing all the food that's going to be on that ship. So if it's a 7-day cruise, they bring X amount of food. If it's a 14-day cruise, they're bringing even more food on the ship, right? I think with 14-day cruises, they do plan to bring more food on mid-cruise at some port. I think that's part of it. But I wasn't a part of the refrigeration team or the food services department, so I don't really exactly know how that works. But I don't know if they can store on a 14-day cruise on one of the big ships for like 5,000 people. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of food. But who knows? Cruise ships are kind of crazy, man. They can do a lot of crazy stuff. I think before I worked on cruise ships, I was blown away when I started learning all these things that were going on. So they're bringing all the food on the board. They're also draining the cruise of its water, right? They're refueling it, obviously, but they also they have three kinds of water. They have the water that you can drink, right? And then they have like the plumbing water, okay? And it's referred to as gray water and black water. And black water is bathroom water that you can't, that's just not, you're not going to, that's black water goes into this whole separate plumbing, separate storage. You know, you can imagine what that is, right? Plumbing, right? Gray water is not bath water, but it's not like toilet water, but it's like water that is, you can't use it, right? So it's like laundry water, you know, soap, water from soap places, you know, water coming out of drains. That's gray water, but you still aren't using that water, right? And they can't just dump stuff into the ocean, right? They store it all on the ship. So when they come back on shore on turnaround day, they drain all of this stuff out of the ship, you know, out of the plumbing system, and then they have to refill the cruise ship full of fresh water to use around the vessel. You think about how these ships, man, they use water in all their food. You drink water. They use it to make ice. It has to be able to shower all the passengers and crew, and fill the toilets, and fill the sinks, right? They use it in the kitchens they use it to clean dishes. I mean, they do it in the laundry. A lot of water, a lot of fresh water on the cruise ship. So you just got to store all this stuff, and it takes time to drain the old and bring on the new. So the fact that they can do this in just several hours is mind blowing to me. So for the most part, for me, in entertainment, kind of a little lax on Embarkation Day. Here's the thing. So like the crew staff who are like the main front of house people for the passengers to see, they're going to be working. They're going to be working the morning, helping the old passengers leave. You know, that final face-to-face, thanks for cruising with us, hospitality kind of thing. And then right then, they might have a little bit of a break. Some of them might have the day off kind of thing. But then they're going to be the first faces that the people see when the passengers for the next cruise ship come back on the ship, right? So their crew staff is busy, you know, and because that first day on the cruise, right when passengers start coming on board, the passengers aren't immediately allowed into their staterooms because the stateroom attendants are still cleaning the rooms, right? So the stateroom attendants are busy all the time. They work so much throughout the cruise and on Embarkation Day. You know, everybody's running around. The food in the kitchens and the galleys, they're working all that morning and all that afternoon for new passengers and all that night for the first cruise. And then because it's the first day of the cruise, all the shops and all the stores and retail places have to restock for the next cruise. So they're working too. So Embarkation Day is for passengers, look at this nice ship, everyone's chill, start my vacation. But for most of the crew, it is chaos. It is busy. It is deadlines. It is bring all the things that come from that we need to store on the ship for the whole cruise. We got to bring it on. And really, it's only coming through one door on deck 4 through I-95. They open up just this one door, you know what I mean? And everything comes in on pallets. And so I-95, which is it's like the term we use for the one hallway that goes from the bow all the way aft, just one hallway on one deck. That's kind of like, that's what crew uses to walk not in guest areas to get from one side of the ship to the other. We call it I-95. And That's where all the pallets are being stored. That's where everyone just hustle and bustle, just constant stuff. And so if I didn't have a lot of things to do on Embarkation Day, I tended to not go into I-95 because at some point you're just kind of in the way. You know what I mean? But yeah, turnaround day, it's very busy, and a lot of people don't think about it as both the last day of this cruise and the first day of this cruise. So it's like double pain, double. Got to finish this one. Got to get all the stuff. Got to start this one. You know, and like the last hour of this cruise is a make it or break it for some passengers. So like they have to have a good time right up until they walk off the ship. So they can't see all the stress that some people carry because of the turnaround that they're about to have to do the next couple hours. They still have to have good customer service. Then you have those few moments where you can actually bust some of your work out that you need to get done. And then here come the new passengers, and you put the smile back on your face. So a lot of employees find turnaround day very, very difficult. I was fortunate in my position that I didn't necessarily have that that much chaos of Embarkation Day. But, you know, so let's say, because a lot of the stuff I had to do is like the very last night I had to change some of the TVs and stuff with information for debarkation. And then once around, I don't know, 10 or 11 of the next day, once most passengers were debarked, I changed that information to the information for the embarkation for the next cruise, you know. And that's the thing too, because every cruise you're getting new crew members. Some people's contracts are ending, some people's contracts are beginning, right? So one thing I had to do was I had to keep track of all of the senior officers that were coming on board, because we kept an updated list that we would broadcast on the first day of the cruise that had the captain and who the hotel director was and the cruise director and all, you know, a list of like 20 or 25 people. And I had to stay in contact with certain people to make sure that I knew, you know, is the casino manager the same or is there a new one coming? Because everyone's contracts are different lengths, you know what I mean? So, and you don't want to be broadcasting that the captain is named so-and-so when actually it's a whole different person. You know, that doesn't look good. So so I did have things I had to keep up with, you know, and it can get confusing. But everyone has a different kind of duty when it comes to that kind of thing, you know, much like everybody has a different job, you know. So you know what you're signing up for when you get hired for the position you get hired for, but you can kind of assume that Embarkation Day is going to be one of the more stressful days. But once that's done, once the passengers come on and once you sail away, hey, smooth sailing, right? So have a good first day.